let's hit the road. Hurry up, Addy.
Well, 2015 long wheelbase Sprinter. And I just painted myself. A mate loaned me spray booth for 2 days. Rolled in white, rolled out looking like that. Yeah, no, it was good. We got out of Melbourne that night. Didn't miss a beat. It was just cruising. We're just sitting there, everyone's going, how good's this? How good's this? They're loving life, listening to music. And then next minute, farm boys on the road, like just pulling up and checking things out, what other crew are doing and helping people and knock, knock, knock. G'day, here we are. What do you need? Do you need any help?
Oh, come on in, Heath.
G'day, Cobber.
Good to see ya. This is exciting.
Epic, mate.
Well, welcome to Bermagui.
Beautiful.
Yeah, come and have a little garden tour.
I'd love to.
This is the old hill size, the clothesline.
Beauty.
Excuse my frilly undies on there. My name's Paul West and I live in Bermagui on Yuin Country on the south coast of New South Wales. You know, in Australia, we've got this sense that everyone needs, you need a big block, you need the 20 acres, you need the 100 acres, you need the big bit of country, you know, with no neighbours. And I mean, we're smack bang in the middle of town. But the advantage of doing it on a small block is that you know, if you've got 100% to give, I've only got 800 square metres to give it to. You know, so I can give a little bit more to every square metre on this property than I could if I was on a 20 acre property or a 100 acre property. When I first started gardening, I was like, if it's not human food, then it's a waste of space. But I've come to appreciate that, you know, we aren't the only creatures that exist in the garden, you know, and it needs to feed everything. And the more things that it feeds, the better the whole garden is.
Yeah, I don't know, I just find Paul extremely inspiring as a human. His energy and enthusiasm for gardening and the beautiful connection you can have to the land and the flavours and experience that yourself and the whole family gets from it. And he always invites the community along for the ride.
So you get that sense that life is just this wellspring that never wants to end. You know, if you just give it that tiny little bit of stewardship and just create in your own way the right conditions for life to flourish, then like it takes care of the rest. Okay, it's a full capped frame of honey. So that's beautiful. It's not just the flora from the bush, but because you're in town and they've got about a 5 kilometre radius, you know, you've got everyone's different gardens.
You've got everything.
Yeah, so we get close enough to the bush to get the bush flows, but also in town you've got everyone's ornamental gardens and their veggie gardens and their fruit trees, and so this is just this great taste of Bermagui. Have to take a little bit of bottled Bermagui on the road with you, mate.
With pleasure.
Oh, it's so good. It's such good honey.
Essence of Bermagui.
I think the hardest thing in any of this stuff is bringing it to the stage where everyone can understand it, and he's real good at doing that. He's unreal. Even though he's highfalutin, he's just one of the fellas. First surf on the Farm Boys road trip.
absolutely beautiful morning and the surf was fun. Had it to ourselves and great start to the trip, frothing.
Bermaguy's good. What a great little spot.
The experience of gardening with your children it's a really potent and powerful one. And I mean, I'm not going to lie, sometimes it's really annoying and frustrating as well.
And that's all starting to germinate along there now, is it?
Yeah, it is starting to germinate with the angry brothers. I'm going to put a 5-minute timer on, and then it's Bowie, okay? Mate, please, Bowie. Yeah, but then you get another go after. So there's lots to water here. I know from my own experience as a kid growing up with my mum was an amazing gardener, still is an amazing gardener, and her father was a really amazing gardener. And as a kid, I hated it. But then in hindsight, I realised that it was a really amazing skill and how lucky I was to grow up in a house with someone that kept and valued a garden. And you know, so often the context in which we serve kids vegetables doesn't make sense to them. And so they're like, I'm not eating that stuff. I'm not eating that crap, no way. But then you put them in a garden and you tell them or show them what they can eat, and they've grown it themselves, so they've got this sense of like anticipation and excitement to it, and they're unstoppable because they get it, because that's in context then. Like when you see living food coming out of the ground or off a plant, then it's in its natural setting and it makes sense, and to the child's instinct-driven brain, they know it as food. But if you see it come off a supermarket shelf and then get boiled on a pot, you know, and it's not beautiful, it's not living, it's not delicious, then they're like, that's not food. Like, I don't want to eat that. Like, no one really wants to eat that. It's like, once you start, you can't stop. And it's one of those beautiful things that, like, the more you pour into it and the more time that you spend with it, the exponentially more that you get back. And there's not many things in life that are like that. I mean, relationships with people is one, and relationship to the land on which we live and the living things around us is the other. And, you know, it's something that is really tangible and something that, you know, gives me a deep sense of pride to see that, you know, I look around and go, well, this is like, I planted most of this stuff, you know, and I've watched it grow, and I remember when it was this big and it's this big, and then I like to think about what it's going to be like here in 20 or 30 or 40 years, you know, when it's all the little trees that I've planted are going to be full, and I'm going to be sitting in here surrounded by apartment buildings, and I'll be like, oh, I'm not bloody moving out, mate. You can take me out in a coffin. But, you know, I don't see the end to it, you know. It's just something that I'll just keep doing forever. Do love waxing lyrical. I can do this all day.
Yeah, packed up and then left and then started heading north to the next stop.
I first heard of Fraser watching Paul's River Cottage series on various flights back in the day when I was chasing the QS around the world, and Fraser was one of the characters that popped up in various episodes. And then when I got to know Paul was always talking about how Fraser was the godfather of market gardening in Australia, and yeah, I was like, I've got to meet the godfather of market gardening.
This was an empty, dead, dried up paddock, and now it's full of life and birds, and it retains moisture, and there's so much biodiversity. It feeds our family, it feeds the community. My name's Fraser Bayley. I live in Tulinga. I grew up on Yuin Country in Sydney, and here on Brinja, and we're market gardeners. We grow food for the people. We went to our first market in 2006 when Marlon was a baby. Our initial motivation was because we needed some money, we didn't have any. But then my curiosity about how to do it, and then I could see the potential in satisfying all sorts of personal goals, if you like. Like everyone knows, this is a good thing to do. you know, but it's hard and you don't make much money and everyone's focuses on other things, right?
But you get to live in a beautiful
Oh,
place.
there's all sorts of pros. You know, it's real tangible work. It's like, you know, I've got hundreds of thousands of years of evolution behind this body that's designed to do stuff, not sit there at a computer. You know, I live here, I work here, it's healthy work, it's outside in nature every day. It's got lots of puzzles that need solving, positive environmental action. There's so many positives. The financial return is not one of them. When you talk about like a local food economy, we contribute to the town because we need to buy things. We need to buy shoes for our kids and go to the dentist. Primary production is a primary economy. It's kind of like where it starts. The economy builds on top of that.
Good to have a little bit of that grit still on there too.
I wash my grit off, mate.
I'm going to hang on to that poo until I get home so I can take a bit of your soil back with me.
This becomes normal. Like eating this good food becomes what everyone does. It's not an unusual thing that these hippies do out back. You pull a carrot out of the ground, that's something you've done. You've planted a seed and the plant's expressed itself, but you cultivated the environment that allowed that carrot to be the best it could be. And then you get a reward for that because someone says, how good is that carrot? And they pay you for it. How good's that?
Yeah. Surprised myself there for a little while. I was getting a few. Heath will argue this, but I won the heat.
He'd pretend he wasn't competitive at all, and then he'd just be up your inside, taking every wave one after the other, and he's always got an extra 22 litres of volume on you.
You know, 2 back operations, a knee operation, 2 buggered hands, and 54. No, that wasn't too bad.
He did get a few heat wins on the trip for sure, and he was claiming it. But I reckon I still got him overall. How long ago did you guys kick off the community gardening?
About 1.5 years now. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So it's pretty fresh still.
Yeah, we had one season just trialling what we'd actually do, and now we're sort of going into the next one, hoping to actually sell some of the produce.
I love the notion of getting a bunch of your mates together to work a patch. You know, everything is always better when you're working together as a team.
There was a few of us doing permaculture in the area, and we just really wanted to create a good community here and get everyone together doing permaculture. So we sort of got together, and growing together came out of it, I think. It was really just inspired by the people and wanting to grow food and community.
There's so many people coming and just planting stuff, I can't even keep track of it.
The good thing about community garden, it's from little ones to, you know, 80, 90 years of age. And it's really important, you know. 1, you know where it's coming from. 2, you know what's gone into it. And 3, it's good for you.
Yeah, like good healthy food should be available to everybody, right? Like,
Well, it's what we should be eating, that's for sure. Oh, it's inspiring, mate.
Yeah.
What you've achieved I love that it's all by hand too.
Yeah,
That's
thanks,
insane, man.
We've had, blitzes of 20, 30 people here at a time.
It's handy.
We couldn't have done it without that.
Yeah.
Many hands make light work, so
Yeah.
there was 10 of us here today just to weed the whole place, and it was done in 30 minutes.
What inspires them to come and help you?
Oh, so many things. Hey, yeah, people come just for the social aspect. People just want to learn more about gardening, and some people just want to get some exercise. Young, old, middle-aged,
Yeah.
The whole idea of the organisation was to keep everything local, so we don't want anything to go anywhere outside the community, really.
Yeah, volunteers take some, we take some, we sell a bit.
We'd probably support about 10 families if we were doing it as a... Yeah.
It seems like a real hub of creativity. They're already growing so much and doing an amazing job, but they're still in that sort of trial and development stage too. Like, to see where they're at in another 5 years will be insane, I think. It's got a lot of space to grow into something even more incredible and amazing than it already is.
We pulled in there real early and there was little waves, it was kind of clean. Heathy was frothing.
This is one my dad shaped for himself 40 years ago in the mid-80s, and it always takes me like quite a few waves to adjust. I tend to be a bit more front-footed and trying to lean right into my turns, and I always bog rail and a few waves in a row, then figure out I've got to change it up a bit, and eventually figured it out there and ended up having fun. It's a fun little wave. The locals were friendly as. No, it was a sick little session.
I was a little bit sore from driving. I decided just to have a swim and go for a fish. Caught some fish. Heath had a good surf, got some good waves. And then we went up, packed everything up, just reversed out to leave the car park, and then
Next time, we're punching it straight through the big smoke and up to the mid-north coast, where we'll catch up with my folks and two young visionaries in Jake Vincent and Ellis Erickson.
ringing around and trying to find someone that had a big enough scan tool to put a scan tool on the van to see where the problem was. So we found this dude with the scan tool. Said, oh look man, we're flat out. But look, get your van here, drop tools, diagnosed it, fixed it, unreal. He was stoked, we were stoked. Mate, if you're ever stuck and you're in the Batemans area, you've got to come to Little Nicks. They'll sort you out.